Welcome to the party, pal. You're for the neighborhood Master Chaos, back with you once again for a dose of movie love. Now, the Barnes & Noble's 50% off Criterion sale is still ongoing. It is currently July 2021, regardless of when you're watching this. I'm going to phone a friend, and I'm going to give you some solid recommendations on this episode of Master Chaos TV.
Back from the dead.
I was thrilled, nay, honored to be contacted by Graham from Man v Film. He had found my channel thanks to a subscriber who sort of put a bug in his ear about your old pal, Master Chaos. And we connected. He said, hey, let's do a collab. And I was like, holy shit, I would be honored. I'm a big fan of your channel. I love his reviews. I'm a big fan of the accent. But he really tells it like it is. And I love when he does videos, not so much about his reviews, but when he talks about fandom and collecting in general. When he specifically talks about our labels trying to trick us, you know, does limited edition mean anything? Like, all that kind of stuff. Like, are we spending too much money? I love when he gets into the nitty-gritty about the sort of the psychology of collecting. Those are actually my favorite videos of Graham's when it comes to the Man v Film collection, oeuvre, style of video, I guess is the best way to put it. Anyway, without a doubt, it is a channel you need to check out. If you are not familiar with Graham and Man v Film, go subscribe to him. Link in the description. And if you're not familiar with him, well, here's your introduction. I'm going to turn things over to Graham. He's going to give you his top 10 Criterion must-haves. Take it away.
Hello, and thank you, Master Chaos, for allowing me to come onto your channel and talk about Criterion, one of the boutiques that I do particularly love. And I've got 10 titles here that I want to talk about. My own personal favourite 10 titles from the collection. And you may be wondering who I am. I'm Graham from Man v Film. I've got my own YouTube channel, and as you can tell from my accent, I'm not from around these parts. I'm Scottish, and if you notice there's a little subtitle box below this video, and even if you click that, there still won't be an accurate translation because of my heavy accent. So best of luck, and let's dive into my 10 favourite Criterion discs. Number 10 on my list is The Lure, a movie that very few people talk about, and I could understand why. It's a very hard one to get into. It's a very strange and unusual movie, but if you've ever wondered what a mermaid vagina looks like, then The Lure is a movie for you. It is a Polish horror mermaid musical. If that doesn't spark some kind of curiosity, I just don't know what will. It's got fantastic musical song and dance numbers. It's got two wonderful main performances from the two mermaids who come out of the water, join a band and start a all singing and dancing troupe, showing off their fancy tales to the paying punters. It has a love story at the heart of it as well. It's got everything thrown into this movie, and it's just so goddamn different and unusual that I want more people to experience it. Number 9 is Seijun Suzuki's Tokyo Drifter. Now, this early 60s movie is a piece of bubblegum, colourful samurai gangster movie that is just wonderful. You follow the main character of Tetsu as he is removed from the safety of his gang, as he tours around the land, as he effortlessly fights major bad guys who are coming after him and dispatches them in bloody fashion. It is a wonderful story. It is really well shot. It opens up with a black and white sequence that makes you think you're going to get one movie before changing into something that is utterly delightful, minimalistic in its sets and its design, but wonderfully colourful and vibrant in other ways, and just one of those movies that has this great pulpy impact. It's such a short running time. It's so wonderful. It's a movie that is going to stick with you long after you've seen it. Number 8 on my list is The In-Laws, a wonderful comedy movie starring Peter Falk and Alan Arkin. And it's these two mismatched individuals put together and a lot of contrivance around about that. Now you've got the sort of mismatched buddy cop pairing of these two guys. You've got the straight-laced Alan Arkin and you've got the kind of free-flowing, dangerous, almost Peter Falk, and the situations they get into are just utterly hilarious. And it's down to the partnership of these two actors that make the movie so enjoyable as it is. They play wonderfully off each other and they just know exactly what they're doing. The comedy value in this is highly repetitive. You can watch it many times and still be chuckling at the same jokes. The serpentine sequence is always hilarious, but that's one of the most famous ones from this movie. There's plenty more that just make it enjoyable and fun. It's a great comedic partnership and a movie that stands the test of time. Number 7 on my list is Midnight Cowboy, and this was one of those movies that I got to late, only seeing it a couple of years ago, and instantly fell in love with these wonderful characters. I think Hoffman and Voight together are just wonderful. They are complete opposites on this. You kind of have this cowboy character that Voight plays who comes into a town thinking that he's going to be a stud, he's going to sell himself and make a lot of money. The harsh reality kind of knocks him for 6, but he still has that perseverance and that positivity. Ratso, Hoffman's character, is more down in his luck. He understands the way of the world, although a little bit of the optimism can sometimes rub off on him. It's more pessimism from his angle, and to see these two kind of galvanise and create a wonderful relationship. You get wonderful shots of New York in the 60s, you get this fantastic soundtrack that plays all the way through it, and at the heart of it you've got a wonderful relationship between two men who just kind of help each other survive. And one of the most kind of emotional bus trips at the end of this movie that I've ever seen, one that just really has a bit of a gut punch. It just makes me even sadder just thinking about it right now. Number 6 on my list is Night of the Living Dead. I'm a huge horror fan, so I was always going to try and squeeze as many horrors in here as I could. And Night of the Living Dead is, well, to be honest, we should all have seen this movie, really, by now. If you haven't, you're missing out. Now, Criterion really had to go the extra mile on this one because it's a public domain movie. They've gave it a 4K restoration and an absolute buttload of extras on this one, but the tale is as fantastic as the first time I saw it. When you have a great filmmaker like Romero with a great idea and cast doing something a little bit different from the norm at the time, it stands the test of time. This movie holds up with wonderful characters, tense situation, the zombies, quotable lines that really have just perpetrated pop culture. It's just one of those wonderfully perfect horror movies that just nailed the time, the place, the thoughts of the world at that time while having a social message hammered through it, but never losing its genre roots and creating something that is most definitely a horror movie, but a little bit more at the same time. Number 5 is quite possibly my favourite Wes Anderson movie, and that is The Grand Budapest Hotel. And this wonderful edition, which, you know, I'm not really talking too much about the extras because I'm trying to focus on the movies. The Grand Budapest Hotel is a wonderfully unusual comedy movie, one that has a real sense of style. It's got that usual sense of symmetry that Anderson has. It has some weird and wacky characters, and at the heart of it, it's got Ralph Fiennes doing what I think is the best role he's ever had. Gustav, this concierge of the Grand Budapest Hotel, is a wonderfully larger-than-life character who just makes me smile just thinking about him. The situations him and Zero get into, the wonderfully dark performances from some of the characters, particularly Defoe, the comedic moments and the laugh out loud nature of the film brings me back to it again and again. When I look at the colour palette, when I look at how it's used, I look at the situations, how it twists perception of how you expect a scene to go. It's constantly surprising, it's rejuvenating and reinvigorating. Whenever I watch it, I get G'd up to watch more movies like it, and I can never find something that's as wonderful as the Grand Budapest Hotel. Fantastic movie. Number 4 on my list is Akira Kurosawa's High and Low. I had wanted to see this movie for the longest while before I could get my hands on it. It's not available in the UK. I had to get a US import, and it was worth that extra bit of cost just to get my hands on this wonderful movie. This movie, which is pretty much a police procedural, as we see someone kidnapped, a high ranking official for a company, and he is suddenly thrown into trying to get his child back, trying to deal with the police in the situation that he's been put under, and how this will completely change his entire life. And it just works so tremendously well. Kurosawa knows how to tell a story, and even though this is quite a long movie, it feels short, it feels interesting. You're with the characters. At one moment you can despise the decisions they're making, and the next moment you're cheering them on. You've got empathy with the situation that they've been put under. It's wonderful the way it just shows everything, and as the police try to investigate the actual crime as they're doing the day-to-day work. I love police procedurals at the heart of it, at the best of times. This one just nails everything I wanted in those kind of movies. A precursor to a lot of the movies that would come after it. Wonderfully told, it's emotionally impactful, you're interested in the mystery, it doesn't have a clean, fantastic, rosy ending. It's a little bit sticky, a little bit downbeat, and has some horribly dark moments in it as well. Number 3 on my list, one of my favourite movies is Dazed and Confused. Richard Linklater's classic 90s movie that has such a wonderful cast. It's a movie that's set over one night, and I love these kind of movies. It captures a time, a place, a moment, and a snapshot of filmmaking that is just so enjoyable, so impactful. Moments where you can see similarities in your personalities in the various groups that we tackle throughout this night. That's laugh out loud funny, that's so coming of age wonderful, that has Ben Affleck as being a complete and utter douchebag, and has Matthew McConaughey being alright. It's just such a wonderful movie with great characters, and even though it's a time and a place that I have never experienced, I get a feeling for this world. I get a feeling for these characters, how they spend their time out with school, the different cliques that they have, the emotions that they're going through, the wonder of moving into the sort of larger school and dealing with these people who seem otherworldly at moments. Such a fantastic movie. It's one that I often go back to and I always enjoy. Even though that lead performance is less than stellar, it is pure, unadulterated joy. So I'm going to cheat just ever so little in my number 2 title, because it's a double pack. I didn't really want to choose them, but I couldn't leave this out, and that is the YOJIMBO SANJURO set. Now, another Akira Kurosawa movie, and these are wonderful films. YOJIMBO is one that gets lauded a lot. It's familiar. You've kind of seen remakes of it throughout the years in various fashions. You may not even have realised you've seen this tale before. But the pure joy for me is Sanjuro. It's a movie that I just utterly love, as we follow this character that we've met in YOJIMBO, as we see him stumble across another adventure, this town that needs his help, as he becomes such a jaded character. Right from the start, he just can't be bothered with the situation. He can't be bothered with what has to happen. He can see the chessboard and where all the pieces are sitting and where they're all going to end up. And it's just such a chore for him, but he understands that these people aren't capable of dealing with this situation himself, and he has to be the hero reluctantly. But it's wonderful. It's got these amazing action set pieces when they come that are bloody, that are visceral, that are nail-biting, exciting at moments. When he pulls that sword, you are in for some fantastic action. There is moments that are just downright hilarious as well in amongst this. Silly visual gags that just had me giggling like a little schoolgirl. I found this pack to be tremendous, but particularly Sanjuro, I think, is just an absolute masterpiece of a movie. Number one, my favourite Criterion, one of my favourite movies of all time, and something that I watch ritualistically almost every year and can't see by it, is 12 Angry Men. One of those movies that just works. It's a movie that whenever I catch it, if I'm zipping through channels and I suddenly pop onto it, it has my attention and I'm watching it to the end. The way that Sidney Lumet just kicked off his career with this debut movie was absolutely shocking. It's so well constructed. It's such a wonderful tale, how it unfolds all the information as the jurors talk about this case. How the set moves and changes throughout the film as the walls close in, as the ceiling comes down, as everything becomes constricted, as the weather turns from hot to rainy throughout this day, as we watch this whole room implode as they suddenly realise their inner ids are released and everybody can see who they truly are. It's a movie that stands the test of time. It deserves to be called a masterpiece. It's truly wonderful, from the performances, especially the directing and the way that the set is used to encroach into the space of these people. I think 12 Angry Men is an absolute amazing movie that should be in everybody's collection. It's a simple one that people may bypass. You might look at it and think, yeah, I'll see that another time or whatever. Stop. Buy this. Get it during this sale. Own it now. And let us know your thoughts in the comment box below. Thanks, Master Chaos, for allowing me onto your channel. Of course, the Master himself will be appearing on my channel with his top 10 Vinegar Syndrome releases, or something like that video, which will be coming very soon. So, or it may be on there already. Thanks again for listening to me ramble on about my 10 favourite Criterion movies, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.
Mermaid vagina. Got it. All right, I've made my list thanks to Graham. I want to thank him again for providing such a wonderful list of films. There's stuff on there that I actually hadn't even really had on my radar. The In-Laws, The Lure, Mermaid Vagina. You can't, well, I guess you can go wrong. That's a story for another time. But yes, thank you, Graham, so much for that list. What an honor and a pleasure to have him here. Go check out his channel if you're unfamiliar with him. Go drop him a sub, give him a like on a recent video, and tell him Master Chaos sent you. Also, do me a favor, if you're new here, do subscribe, join the party. I'd love to hang out with you again. I know we didn't get much of a chance to talk today, but you'll see me again. I promise that. Drop me a thumbs up as well on your way out the door. And stay tuned. My video for Graham is going to be my top 10 Vinegar Syndrome titles. I'm not sure when he's dropping that. So keep an eye on his channel for that, and I'll post about it as well. Hey, my collab with Graham is up on his channel, so stay tuned for all that info. For now, I'm gonna bid you adieu. Go out there, buy some Criterion, listen to Graham. He knows what he's talking about. Listen to me as well. I kind of know what I'm talking about. At least I'm passionate about it. I guess that's the best way to put it. Anyway, let's call it a day. Take care of yourself. I love you. As a matter of fact, I love you just the way you are. Hang in there. It gets better. I promise you. I promise you that. Hang in there. This is your friendly neighborhood Master Chaos signing off for now.